Hi, and welcome to the Small Music Artist Hype podcast. I know you guys have been expecting someone else to host this, but well, I am Noah Avantkar, and I'll be your host today for this podcast. I must really thank Al for giving me this beautiful opportunity, and yeah. So, today I will be interviewing Al himself, the creator of this podcast, and I am really honored to do so. So, let's begin. A little backstory to how Al and me met. We were both really in the beginning, I guess, of our music careers, and I at the time was completely clueless kid who was like really really new to music, and I had no idea, and I was just going through Instagram to see other artists, and that's when I saw Al's profile on Instagram, and I'm like, oh my god, he's such a cool person, like, whoa, his posts are so aesthetic, and I was like, I need to follow him. And then I did, and then we started talking, and then it's been 2 years now, I guess, and we are besties. So, yeah, I'm really glad to have this opportunity. Again, thank you so much, Al, for letting me host your podcast, which definitely needs a shorter name, but it's a beautiful podcast. So, let's jump right into it. So, I have noticed that Al has just recently launched his music on all platforms, like all music platforms, Spotify, Apple Music. You guys should definitely check his music out, because really it's beautiful, and I keep up with all of his music, and it's amazing. Personally, through my biased opinion, I think Autotune is the best, but Autotune was not an official release because it was just a small release Al made on SoundCloud, but I really hope it becomes an official release because it's personally my favorite. So,
Hey, looks like I'm on the other side this time. I need to stop. Really, that's not who I am. Um, hey y'all. I hope you liked how Noah introduced everything. Surprise! Yay! Uh, I am recording this days later uh than the other one. I was gonna do them on the same day, but I was like, I'm too tired. So now I'm doing it when I'm even more tired. Like that makes any more sense. Yay! Hi, I am Al. I am the usual host of this podcast. I am a composer, songwriter, producer, though I don't think I'm good at it, but whatever. Um, and I'm also in an orchestra. I guess that there you go. More stuff for you. I have 2 singles out. I am working on more. And let's get on with the questions.
okay, Al, here's your first question. Who was your biggest inspiration to make music?
When it comes to my biggest inspiration, I don't know if it was a who, but more of a what. But considering the who, um, it's probably like the people around me, I guess. Oh, music just fell off my music stand. Okay. That's the most musician thing I've said in a while. Uh, it's more of the people around me. It isn't like one of those like big name celebrities, to be honest.
Okay, Al, my next question is, I heard your new single, The Conversation, and this question has to be asked. What is the story behind it? What's the story?
The story behind the conversation is not as complex as some other songs I've written, though it still was a song written with emotion behind it, and it tells a story, quite literally. The conversation is it is a like kind of reenactment of a conversation that often happens when I'm talking to people. Um there are certain things that I don't know why I am not very good with social cues and society rules, social rules. Um and it puts all the emotions that I feel and what it feels like to have those conversations into sound. That is something I really like to do is tell a story with the music that I write, and that one is probably the best example of it. There's specifically this one part and it's the conflict of the story. It is when I make a mistake. A mistake where maybe I say something that I shouldn't have. Um and I use jazz undertones to bring that alive, and you feel the conflict, you feel the dissonance and the um you want it to resolve, you want it to be better again, but you can't. And that is what I convey in that song, and that is what the conversation is. I hope that makes sense. I don't think I even understand what I said, but okay.
So, next question. Personally, I feel like your song Autotune was the best. Through my biased opinions, that is. And now I know that Autotune is not an official release you put out just yet, but I really hope it is in the future. Can you tell me a bit more about the creative process that you went into to make that song? That would be great.
So, Autotune was that one came out I put that out on YouTube. It's not on there anymore. A long time ago. It feels like a long time ago. It was maybe 2 years ago. Um that was a song just out of the like just I just and put it out there. Like just made it, and it was probably one of the faster ones. It takes me a long time to write music that I put out, and I didn't officially put it out. It was before I started releasing music. I only started releasing music this year. Um, but I was experimenting, and I did a lot of experimenting, and I would put it out on YouTube for critique and generally people's opinions before I decided I wanted to officially release my music. And that one got a lot of love, and I just haven't had the inspiration to do anything like it since then. But I don't know how I came up with it. If I did know, I probably don't remember. It so for anyone who hasn't have heard it, it's not even on SoundCloud anymore. I think I completely got rid of it as much as you can on the internet. You can't fully get rid of things on the internet. In the introduction, I have my voice heavily messed up with autotune.
How would you feel if I used autotune to correct the voice that was given to me? The one that does not match what I hear inside. How would you feel? How would I feel?
Where I'm talking about how would you feel if you didn't have your voice match what's in your head, and it is a take on how I feel as someone who is transgender, and I don't like my voice, which is funny because I have a podcast. You just kind of get over it. You don't, but you try. And I used autotune on my voice to be like, autotune isn't necessarily a bad thing. And sometimes to help ourselves or to convey certain emotions, autotune is great for that. And that was kind of the whole thing. My music has changed a lot since then, but it's not I don't know if I'd ever make something like that. If I do put it out officially, I would transpose it for to be kind of like my music now. But I'd have to find the files for it.
Okay, so next question. What's next in the new Al era? Like, what's new? What are we gonna expect? Like, I'm just as excited as all the fans. So we really need to know.
The Owl era is it's going to be continuing with what I have been doing. Um, I like to write music where there is a story and um where there's in like stories with a plot, there's conflict and there's resolution. Though I like to make stories that don't really have a resolution because when it comes to life, those songs are a small piece, a small chapter of my life. And like a chapter, it's not the full story, therefore, it doesn't end. And I know I'm going to be continuing with that. I like writing like that. I will probably not be putting music out that much. It takes me a long time to write music, and when I am a perfectionist, and I will continue to be, and I will continue to do that. Um, which is gonna mean few releases. I've also been in an art block, which might change a little bit how my music sounds. I'm not sure how my music is gonna sound in the future, but I hope that people like it.
Okay, your next question is, have you ever been stuck in a creative block? If so, how did you come out of it? Like, how did you manage to do that? Because I've heard a lot of artists these days struggle with that kind of a block, and it's hard to get things done when you are stuck in this kind of block. So, how do you get out of it? And is there any other tips you would like to share for other artists? That would be great.
I have been stuck in a creative block. I have several times in my life, considering that I am also a draw artist who draws, and I do write music. I do a bunch of creative things. I have been in an art block when it comes to drawing for about a year now. Um, and I do get that a lot with music. I usually will just stop, let it go until something inspires me and I pick it back up again.
Okay, that sounds really interesting. And my next question is gonna be, where do you see yourself in the next 1 year?
Where do I see myself in a year is still, um, that is a while from now. I see myself, working on a bunch of college assignments and not being able to do as much with music. Um, I I hope that in a year from now I'll be a lot happier than I am now. Um,
Hey, it's editor Al. I will like to say that this podcast was originally like recorded around late November timeframe. A lot has changed in my life since this was recorded, which is kind of crazy. And kind of the things that I wanted at that time, I have now, and it really it's crazy. I am so much happier. And there are people in my life right now that just make it even better, and I have, other people my age that I spend time with now instead of just being lonely. And I'm really happy. And I hope it continues in 2024. And it may or may not be inspiring music. So I guess stay tuned for that one. But I can't even describe how much happier I am since then. I was going through a lot between like October and November, but I was kind of getting over it late November, but I am so much happier now, and I put in a lot of effort and work, and I I communicated, and now I'm living life the way I wanted to, and the way that I want to, and I am a lot happier. And certain people who are now in my life a lot more, and that have made me this much happier, listen to this podcast. So thank you. Really, I am so much happier, and I hope all this continues in 2024. And for people who may not be the happiest right now, it does get better, and you just got to keep fighting, and you got to communicate. And I'll get back to sad me right now.
And I hope I get a glow up in another year, like physically see myself glowing up. And yeah. I try not to think too much about the future.
Okay, next question. How many instruments do you play?
I actually do not play enough instruments personally. I started playing the piano about a decade ago. A little more than that ish. Um I started to play the violin 2 to 3 years after that. And in that span of time, I've also semi learned to play the viola, as the shape of a viola is different from a violin, and it is also larger. And Noah won't stop sending me stuff, and it is a larger instrument. The strings are different, but the concept is technically the same. Um, so I do play technically 3 instruments. I've dabbled in guitar, I just not for me. I would love to learn the cello and the bass.
That must be a lot of instruments, and whoa, just wow. Like, imagine just mastering one instrument is so hard and could take up to years for some people. And you play so many instruments, and that's beautiful, and that explains how artistic you are, and it's really inspiring, you know. It's really beautiful. My next question is, if you could open for any artist in this world, who would it be?
I would love to open a show for Azalea. Azalea is someone who's been on this podcast before. Their music is absolutely amazing. I feel like our stuff would blend so well because their music is also instrumental, and they have the piano in there, and if with my stuff with the piano, it would be a good lead-in into their amazing work.
My next question is, who is your favorite artist of all time? It doesn't have to be all time. It could be today, yesterday. Mine is Nudie, and you. I love you guys. Ooh, Azalea too. I love you. I love you, 3 of you guys.
My favorite artist is Noria, if you can't tell by this podcast, with the fact that she's been on there twice, and I sound like a fangirl every time. I just listened to, at the time of recording this, her newest song, which came out today that I'm recording this. It was so cool, and it was a little different from what she's been doing in the past, but I'm curious how the change of that with any new song she's going to put out in the future.
And this is going to be my last question to wrap up this podcast with. And in the future, if you have any opportunity to collab with any artist, who would it be?
Do they have to be alive? Because if not, I would love to collaborate with Vivaldi, because that would be great. Might be a little language barrier, minor detail, but I would love to collaborate with him. That would be awesome. I think also collaborating with Noria, I've considered asking. I just need to get myself more situated with my music before I ask her. It's kind of going to be funny because she's only going to find out about this when she listens to this, because I think she listens to the podcast. That'd be really funny. And yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for all the answers and your patience and your due diligence to edit this video, because I know I love you for that. You know that. You know that. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in to this month's Small Music Artist Hype podcast. And I'm going to be signing off and hand this mic over to Al, all the way across the globe. So here you go, Al.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about myself, already more than I normally do, Noah. And thank you all for another year with this podcast. And I wish you guys all the best for the next year to come. Bye bye.